A beautiful morning to you and welcome to the show. I am Ayo and welcome to the newspaper review for today. We have quite a number of headlines to be reviewed with you today, but before we go into all that we have, let's go on a quick break and we will be right back. Welcome back to the show. Like I said, we have quite a number of headlines to be reviewed with you today, and one of which is just in today being the 28th day of March 2024. The slain soldiers, the slain military personnel that were killed out at Delta State were laid to rest. Let's look at the news in details. There was a flow of tears from relatives as the bodies of the 17 soldiers and officers of the Nigerian army who were killed by irate youth at Okoma community of Delta State on March 14, 2024 arrived in Abuja for burial. Daily Trust had reported how the troops of 181 Amphibious Battalion Bomadi Delta State were killed while on a peace mission to the Okoma community. The incident occurred when the troops responded to a distress call after the communal crisis between the Okoma and Okoloba communities in Delta State. The remains of the military personnel arrived at the National Military Cemetery, Abuja, at about 2:26 p.m. on Wednesday. It is so sad. This is really a sad incident for the family of the deceased, and we pray that their soul rest in peace. At the same time, this occasion was graced by a lot of top profile persons from the Mr. President was there, the vice president, and a lot of other government officials were present at the burial ceremony of these slain soldiers. And some of the outcomes of the event is that Mr. President said he was going to place all of the children of the slain soldiers on scholarship. At the same time, their widows will be well taken care of. And at the same time, Mr. President insists that those who know about the killing of the slain soldiers will not go without justice being fulfilled over them. And sequel to this event, the military declares professor, woman, and others wanted over soldiers killing in Delta State. So a lot of persons has been declared wanted by the military, people who are assumed to be a part of this happening at Delta State. Very quickly, let's look at the story in details. The military high command on Thursday morning declared 8 persons wanted in connection with killing of 17 soldiers in Okoma community. The military high command on Thursday morning declared 8 persons wanted in connection with the killing of 17 soldiers and officers in the Okoma community of Delta State. Among those declared wanted include a Professor Ekpeko Ato, a woman, Mrs. Igoli Ebi, Ruben Baru, Akata Malawa David, and 4 other persons. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Edward Buba, a Major General who disclosed this at an ongoing press briefing at Defense Headquarters, Abuja, said no bounty was placed on the wanted persons. Buba called on the stakeholders and traditional rulers across the country, particularly in the Niger Delta, to help the military in fishing out those who had been declared wanted. Daily Trust had reported how the troops of 181 Amphibious Battalion, Bomadi local government area of Delta State, were surrounded by some youth and killed on Thursday, 14th March 2024, while on peace mission to Okoma community. So, in as much as Nigerians are trying to get updates on the on the perpetrators of this evil at the Delta State, at the Okoma community in Delta State. And it is at the same time bringing a lot of Nigerians to ask the question that the people who were said to have killed the soldiers were youth, but the people whose picture is out now, whom the military declared wanted, are not in any way youth. They're not even people in their early 40s. They were looking like old people, and it is making a lot of Nigerians to ask if these are not just people that, because one of the people who has been declared wanted is also one of those who lends their voice in talking about the happening. And we see that the picture of this person also is among those that has been declared wanted to amongst the perpetrators of this evil act. That is one. If innocent people are not about to be, if innocent people are not about to be, to be sentenced, that's the word, to be sentenced because they have lent their voice. And it is making Nigerians to also say that if at all a case like this occur next time, maybe people should not bother to lend their voice. Since this young man here has lent his voice and he has been declared wanted, he has been declared amongst those that has been declared wanted to be amongst the perpetrators of this evil act. Another thing is, investigation is supposed to be carried out by the DSS, not the military personnel. And it is making Nigerians to ask if this is now a military regime where you can just declare anybody wanted for lending their voice and all of that. So Nigerians are now saying that this is the work of the policemen. And does it mean that the state police are no longer functioning, that they have left the work of investigation to the military personnel? First off, this story starts off with the fact that these military personnel that were killed, they went on a peace mission to the Okoma community. The peace mission is not supposed to be the duty of the military personnel. And this is another thing with misplaced priorities. When priority is not set right, there's tendency that you'll be doing a responsibility that you're not even supposed to cater for. Now, these people has been killed. May their soul rest in peace. It is not something that Nigerians are happy about. At the same time, the military should leave the work of investigation to the DSS. It is their job to do so. So it is the job of the DSS, the job of the state security personnel to carry out this investigation, to follow up on the story, to make their findings as to if these people that has been declared wanted know anything about this case. And as we have said, one of those who lend their voice as to how this event happened, he lent his voice to air his view on, or to air his thoughts, and this person has as well been declared wanted. So the military should leave the job of investigation to the state security. And also, before you can declare anybody wanted as to be amongst the perpetrator of this evil act, there has to be a court order. In this story, there was no court order as to if truly these people are found guilty, or if truly these people has a link to who could have committed this heinous crime in Delta State. So there was no court order, and this is leading us to question, to probe the justice, the people that are supposed to be a voice to Nigerians, to be a voice to be Nigeria, if at all they are functioning, if the court is functioning, is they're doing their responsibility. You cannot just go ahead and declare people wanted without a court order. Where if at all there is a court order, we want to see it before you can go about displaying people's picture. Also, this is not the job of the military. At the same time, like we said earlier, one of those who lend their voice has been declared wanted too. So should we say that when we have an opinion in this part of the world, we should not give opinion, we should not lend our voice. We should not lend our voice to all that is happening in the country. Moving on to the next story that we have here. The rescued children in Kaduna State has reunited. to their families. As we all know, we the story trended about 2 3 weeks ago of the 287 Kuriga students that were kidnapped at their school, and just about 3 days ago, this student has been recovered. They are now back to. They have been rescued by the military personnel. So, sequel to this story, we need to understand that these children were not allowed to see their parents as soon as they came back to the state they were in a state. But look, let's quickly look at the story in details. The 137 Kaduna school children rescued from terrorists will today, Thursday, be reunited with their families. The state government announced on Sunday that the students were rescued in Zamfara state. They were returned and received in Kaduna on Monday by Governor Ubasani. The general officer commanding Major General Mayirenso Saraso, who presented the school children to the governor, said 6 of them were hospitalized at the Army Medical Facility, Delet Barracks, Kawo, Kaduna. He added that a teacher abducted with the school children died in captivity. On Wednesday, the secretary to the state government of Kaduna State, Dr. Abdul Kabir Meyere, announced that the students would be formally reunited with their parents today. So since the children got back from the den of the kidnappers, they were not allowed to, they were not allowed to, go into the succor of their parents. And this is also a question that one of these children are traumatized. It is quite understandable that the Kaduna State government, they want to make that show just so people can be concerned. People can see how concerned they were about the children. Yes, we are happy that the children are back. But at the same time, we feel like the best succor the children can have at this time is the warmth of their parents. These people have, that's the best, that's one of the best healing therapy that they could have gotten if they were reunited with their parents immediately. So this has been the question on the heart of Nigerians as to why they were kept in a rehabilitation center, so to say, undergoing all sort of therapy instead of them going straight down to their parents, at least for them to feel the warmth of their parents, for them to feel that succor, for them to feel that, for them to feel the warm embrace of their parents would have done the healing better. That reunion would have even catch the attention of Nigerians much more than the children being kept in a place first before they are reunited with their parents. And it is making Nigerians to also ask again that if this the way they have kept the children away from their parents, if this is not a ploy for Nigerians not to question the fact that the figures that were given to us when these children were kidnapped is quite different from the figures that we have that were recovered. Only 137 students came back. Nigerians are left with the question of where the remaining students are. We are left to ask the question, what happened to the remaining 150 students? Or could it have been a ploy for them not to talk about the 150 students? And the school has a database where this number of students are documented, even if it is in the hard copy or soft copy. At least they should be able to provide the adequate number of students that were missing. Now, only 137 of them came back, and if at all these children were reunited immediately to their parents, it would have been easy to detect who came back and who did not come. It would have been easy for Nigerians to see the reaction on the face of their parent that, oh, I have 4 children in this school. I've only seen 2. Where are the remaining 2? It would have been easy for Nigerians to know that the 137 students that were recovered is not the total number of students that were kidnapped. Now that they said they have been reunited, we'll keep tab on this story to see if truly all of the children that were kidnapped came back to their parents. So we'll keep you tab on this story. Moving on to the next story, we have the story of the budget pudding at the Senate House weeks back, where we have our senators displaying their dirty linen in the Senate House. Let's look at the story. Ningi demands reinstatement, threatens to drag Akpabio before NBA. So this story trended weeks back at the Senate House, where Ningi, Senator Ningi, accused Akpabio of budget pudding. That the budget the Senate agreed on, the budget that was signed and given to Mr. President, was about two. The budget increased by a percentage, and they were wondering where did that money, how come they were able to include that whatever to that amount of money into the budget without anyone knowing. So the budget that was signed by the Senate House was different from what was approved. So this became an issue in the Senate House, and on the long run, Ningi was suspended for 3 months. Even some senators were even saying that he was supposed to be suspended for a year, just so he can feel the pain, or that what he has done is not the right thing. So let's quickly look at this story in details, as Ningi himself has declared that he threatens that he was going to drag Akpabio before NBA. Let's look at the news in details. The senator representing Bauchi Central in the Senate, Ahmed Ningi, has written the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, demanding that the suspension placed on him be lifted. Ningi, who wrote Akpabio through his lawyer, Femi Falana, noted that if his suspension was not lifted in the next 7 days, he would drag the Senate before the Federal High Court. The Senate on March 12 sent Ningi on 3-month suspension over his chain that the 2024 budget was ported on the tune of 3.7 trillion naira. Ningi, in a media interview, claimed that while the budget passed by the National Assembly for the 2024 fiscal year was 25 trillion, the one being executed by the presidency was 28.7 trillion naira. However, at the plenary on March 12th, the Senate took the Bauchi senator onto the defend the allegation, at the end of which he was slammed with a 3-month suspension for damaging the image of the Red Chamber over what senators decided was an unfounded allegation. Following the pronouncement of the suspension, Ningi packed his things and walked out of the Red Chambers, waving to his colleagues. He subsequently stepped down from his position as the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum and was replaced by the All Progressive Congress Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua, representing Kaduna Central. However, 2 weeks after his suspension, Ningi, through his lawyer Falano, contended that the process of the suspension was faulty. His letter to the Senate presidency was received at the Senate President's office on Wednesday. So one of the many questions in our hearts is to the fact that if you know the truth in this country, the truth is always, the truth is always swept beneath the carpet. It is swept beneath the rug. This man, he made a claim. He made something. He stated the obvious that the budget is supposed to be 25 trillion naira. Yeah, there was a mistake earlier when I mentioned 2.5 trillion naira. It was supposed to be 25 trillion naira, and there was a pudding of 3 trillion naira increase on the agreed budget in the Senate House. Now, this man stated the obvious, and on the long run, while he was talking about that budget, trying to explain himself, we discovered that his mic went off. Does it mean that they don't want this man to? Could it have been that they don't want this man to state the obvious? They don't want him to wash their dirty linen in the public. And he stated something. He said that he knew the amount every other person was collecting, every other senator was collecting. And according to the other senators that talked, Senator Bamidele stood up and he said that that some persons received 500 billion naira as their allocation, that he received less, and he did not come out to the public to come and discuss all of these things. At the same time, there are some other senators that said some people collected this allocation, some people collected that allocation, and it is making us to ask a question: are there no equality in allocations? If there are no equality in allocation, Senator Ningi made a declaration. He said, he made a statement rather. He said he knew the amount every other senator is being allocated to, but none of them knew how much is being allocated to Akpabio. And sequence to that story, sequence to that issue, we saw that a lot of allocation was going to the Senate presidents, which was not probed into. So all because this man has stated the obvious, he has declared the truth to discover that this man was suspended for 3 months, and it is making us to question the system of government that aid corruption in this part of the world. What system of government are we running that when we see the truth, when the truth is stated in the obvious, we tend to see that people, such people who say the truth are not allowed to express their opinion. They are not allowed to do, they are not allowed to, make findings and see where this they are not probed into, they are not asked questions to see that if other things will come out. We discovered it was from this budget wording that we see that some people has higher allocation while other constituencies had lower allocations, which is not supposed to be so. So this man was not allowed to, he was the whistleblower in the Senate House that particular day, but he was not allowed to blow the complete whistle. And this is part of the thing that we talk about, transparency in this place. This story was not followed up by the federal government as to see truly if the things that the Senate House are collecting money for, if the allocations they are making demand for, if truly they are making use of this money for what they have declared. These are some of the things that they should be following up on. If truly these people are collecting this allocation, fine. Some people's allocation is higher than the other. Follow up on them and see if truly they are making this investment on the things they are collecting money for. But no, this man was suspended, and it is a good thing. It is a good thing that he has come out again to say that if he is not reinstated, that he was going to drag Akpabio. And people are also asking again, like, is the issue against Akpabio, or the issue is against all of the senators who ganged up together and said he should be suspended for 3 months? Another sector to be questioned in this country is the judicial system. It is obvious that the judicial system in this part of the world is faulty. And as always, I am going to follow up on this story and give you updates on the aftermath of this event. Will Senator Ningi be reinstated, or should Nigerians give him backing for him to drag Akpabio, so we can see where the rot is coming from in this administration? Moving on to the next story. Tinubu set up a 50-member emergency team. He set up a 50-person emergency team to tackle the economy. According to his word, he said this 50-person emergency team are going to rescue the economy. So, for as many that want the economy to be rescued, very quickly, let's look at the news in details. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday established a 31-man presidential economic coordination council comprising himself, the vice president, senate president, and the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, among others. Tinubu also established a 19-member economic management team emergency task force, which he mandated to meet twice weekly and submit a 6-month comprehensive plan of economic interventions for 2024. The Economic Management Team Emergency Task Force was approved by the Federal Executive Council on Monday. The plan, covering the next 6 months, will be due for immediate implementation within 2 weeks of the EET's inauguration, the president directed. So, as always, another committee has been set up. But let's ask the question, what is the aftermath of the committee that was set up after the court order in February? Around February, when the economic hardship became unbearable for Nigerians, and Nigerians came out to protest for cost of living and all of that, the Federal High Court made an order and they declared that the federal government should ensure that prices of goods are regulated within 7 days. After that 7 days, we saw that a committee was set up comprising of comprising of the vice president and all of the governors of the governors of the 30 states, or of the 35 states. They came together and agreed on how prices of goods and services, price of goods will be sorted, including price of maize, grains, and all of that. And we discovered that immediately after that, that committee was set up. The only thing, we really did not see the effect like that, outside the fact that Ukraine made a supply of grain for Nigeria. The palliative was distributed. There was an issue of Akpabio saying that 30 billion naira was given to governors to cushion palliative in the country. And immediately after, that story was not followed up on. That story died down like that, even though prices of goods and services did not go down as planned. Bag of rice kept on increasing. Currently, as we speak, a bag of rice is around 85 to 90,000 naira. So now, looking at the committee that was set up in February, comparing it with what is currently happening now, another 50 persons committee has been set up again. The question is that how effective is it going to be? I believe that an administration that came out and said that subsidy was gone should have plans in place for the next 3 years. That, okay, immediately after subsidy is gone, this is good. They should have a proactive plans in place that Nigerians may likely react, not even may likely, Nigerians will react negatively to this this policy that we want to implement. Okay, these are the likely problems that will surface. This is how we are going to cushion it. Those proactive plans. And it is obvious that this administration does not have a plan in place for how these things can be curbed. You cannot just make decision. You cannot just make decision without foreseeing what people's reactions may likely be. And now he has set up another 50-member emergency teams to get to work. They should make plans for the next 6 months on how to rescue the economy. Should we say that this administration does not weigh their options before coming about it? This same administration is the same administration that came about and said we want to implement the Oronsoye's report. After implementing the Oronsoye report, we discovered that the report was outdated. They said they were going to set up a committee to find out how this Oronsoye report is going to affect what is currently happening. Oronsoye report, we are no longer talking about it. The federal government is no longer following up on the Oronsoye report. Now, a committee has been set up again on how to rescue the economy. And it is making us to see that we are confused. We are confused people. We don't know what to do. We cannot just keep jumping at every trend. You cannot just keep listening to everybody. This one bring his own opinion, you listen to him. That bring his own opinion, you listen to them. What is your own opinion? What is your own plan? What is the vision that you have for the country? If you have a vision for the country, it will be easy for you to tell people that this is the vision I have for the country. How do we arrive at this? You cannot just keep setting up committee. Another question that Nigerians are asking is that we hope that this committee will also not be paid. Because remember that when NLC came out and said a committee has not been set up on how minimum wage will be talked about, how they are going to talk about minimum wage and all of that, how they are going to arrive at a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers. When that committee was about to be set up, we discovered that 5 billion naira was allocated to those committee, even though not everybody was talking about it. So we hope that this is not another ploy to allocate money to this committee. I mean, this committee will not just come together free of charge. They will not just come together free of charge to discuss. They will be paid. So we also hope that the amount they will be paid, this administration should be reminded that if at all, even though they have not mentioned it, which is coming to the heart of Nigerians, that if they are going to be paid, on whose neck is it? On whose purse are they going to talk about it? Yet, it is going to be from the federal government purse. Yet, we want to talk about regulating the economy. How will the economy be regulated if we keep spending on frivolities? One, this administration should get their priority right. What do they want to achieve? If you have what you want to achieve, it will be easy for you to say, fine, this is what we want to achieve. It will be easy for you to channel your energy on how to achieve that cause. And obviously, there is no vision in place. If you have a vision, it will be easy for you to bring people together on how the economy will be regulated and stabilized. And moving on to the last story that we have for today is quite a funny story, actually. The last story to be reviewed with you today, traditionalists want traditional religious knowledge as subjects in schools. This is quite funny since we have CRS in schools. You know, school children are doing Christian religious studies. They are doing IRS, Islamic religious studies. The traditionalists have come together to say that traditional religious knowledge has to be a subject that must be taken in our secondary schools and even higher institutions. What is your take on this story? Let's look at the news in details. Traditional Religion Worshippers Association on Wednesday urged both the federal and state government to establish schools where traditional religious knowledge will be taught as a subject to impart the younger generation with the Yoruba culture and tradition. The secretary of the Oyo State branch of the association, Fayemi Fakayode, who made this call in Ibadan, the state capital, further urged the government to include traditional religious knowledge as a subject in the primary and secondary school curricula, like Islamic religious knowledge and Christian religious knowledge. Fakayode, in a statement personally signed, stressed the need for proper education to disabuse the minds of the younger generation about Yoruba history and antecedents. He explained that the miseducation of Africans about their origin and culture had led to many wrong perceptions about their traditional religion. The secretary, who is the founder of Olodumare's Temple of Light International, said, "We made this call during the installation of two Brazilians, Awoyomi Fakayode and Iyani Ifatayo Obimo, as Mayegun and Yeye Mayegun of Ijo Imole Olodumare Agbaye, respectively, on Sunday at Alade Town in the Akiyele local government area of the state." So, Nigerians, are you in support of all of this? That traditional religious knowledge. Let's give it an abbreviation. Traditional religious knowledge. That's going to be TRK. Okay, since there's CRK, there's IRK. So this is going to be TRK. So do you feel like this is going to be viable? That TRK should be included in the curriculum of our students. I mean, these people are fighting for the fact that if the children are taught Christianity in schools, they are taught Islamic religion in school, they should also be taught traditional religion in school. And one of their claim is that so they can have a knowledge, have the right knowledge about their traditional, have a knowledge about their background, because of misconceptions. You know, a lot of Africans, they have been told that the traditional religion is evil. It has to do with witchcraft, they practice voodoo and all of that. So according to them, these children has been brainwashed. So they want a new reorientation, an orientation so that they can have the right knowledge about their tradition. So what is your own take on this story? Do you think this is viable? I mean, there's no how they will learn this thing, that they also not learn how to, one of those things, make incantation, do this and do that. So they are leaving Nigerians to give their opinion on this. What do you think of this? Do you think this is visible? Don't you think this is a religious conflict between the Christian, the Muslim, and then the traditionalists? This will bring us to the end of the newspaper review for today. I am before I leave the studio, we would like that you follow us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Prime Media TV. On Instagram and TikTok, Prime Media Studio. On the website, we are enginespeak.com. You can as well follow us on YouTube at Engine Speak. I am Ayo. Until I come your way again, do have a great day.